Yo! Video games.
What up, dudes, and welcome back to the YoVideogames podcast. I'm Matt.
And I'm Andrew.
And once again, thank you to all our generous patrons who've kept us going for 323 episodes, if I'm on my money today, which I don't know if I am. It's been a long day.
I don't think you are. Neither of us slept enough. I think it's like 329 or something like that.
No, it's not 329, you liar. Have we?
Or 330 even, maybe.
Have we been going that long? I am going to check that right now.
We're old men. 7 years in. We're seven.
The last one, whoa, we're all under. We're all under par. It's actually 332.
Holy shit. Yeah, well, if you want to become a patron at any level, please check out patreon.com/YoVideogames podcast. Dude of the week is Booty Crew.
Thank you, Booty Crew.
Booty Crew, best name. You got a lot of great screen names for patrons. All sexual tyrannosaurs.
Yes.
But on top of Booty Crew, great name. Another great name is our sponsor, Manscaped. Talk about them real quick. They were recently doing their testicular cancer awareness. So if that's something that you support and care about, which I hope you would, especially if you care about grooming in general, you should definitely check out their We Save Balls initiative. But more importantly, it's getting hot out.
And you're going to want to go to the beach, and you're not going to want to look like me going to the beach. So you're going to want to get your bod in its best shape. And hopefully, if you've been smart, you've been doing that, like keeping up on the New Year's resolution. But when you show
want
off
it to be a happy trail, not happy
right.
brush.
So when you show off your bestest beach bod, do you want to look like you're smuggling Chewbacca in your Speedo, or do you want to look like
sorta,
or do you want to look like you are, waxed and tanned and ready, for that GQ photo shoot or whatever?
Yeah, you don't really want to use the pickup line and be like, yeah, I'm a monster down there, baby, and then like actually be a monster.
Actually be a monster. Like, you don't want to have a little pet shop of horrors, creeping out, creeping over, like,
people want to be delightfully surprised.
That's right. And hey, if you're really in shape and you want to wear that C cup for guys, you know what I'm talking about, Andrew. You ain't getting away with that if you're not properly trimmed and groomed. And
if and when we ever get to go on vacation, I'm wearing short shorts the whole time. Short shorts, tube socks, tennis shoes. That's it.
And if you want, the best way to keep yourself in shape right now is the Lawnmower 4.0. From Manscaped, which you can get in the performance package, which is a whole little bag full of goodies, including the Lawnmower 4.0, which has multiple different sizes. So if you want to have like a little bit of peach fuzz, or if you want to go real low,
it's a personal favorite.
Yeah, you've got Crop Reviver, Crop Preserver, which is deodorant for your balls. One for after the shower and one for an anytime quick pick me up spritz. You get a nice pair of boxer briefs. I almost forgot the term there.
Yeah, super comfy too.
Yeah, so you're getting all that in the performance package.
And it comes with a sexy ass dop kit, which I got right here.
Yeah, which is the bag itself, which I've been using. Actually, it's really good. It even has like a little like pouch within with its own little zipper, so you can like, if you want to like separate some stuff, like maybe like your cleaning brushes, like maybe your trimmer edges or whatever, or maybe you want to put the USB cable in there.
Yeah, that's what I do.
That's also a good idea to keep that away from water.
You know what I've also, speaking of like travel or like going to the beach, you're going to the beach all day, you're hanging out, and maybe you're being slick, you're hitting on people. Those crop mops, pretty good for that. You don't want to have
which is another thing you can get. You might have heard of things called dude wipes, but like sometimes what you don't see can also be a nemesis, the phantom menace, if you will, of stank. And, just because your ball sweat doesn't leave behind, a greasy residue doesn't mean it's not there and it's not stinky. So,
don't have salty balls.
Having a package of that to just quickly wipe your junk, get your taint, and your ball sack and, everything in between and your thighs all nice and clean but also fresh smelling. That's also a plus, you know. So
The anti-swamp ass.
yes.
If you're interested in any of this stuff, please check out manscaped.com and use code YoVG, all caps, for 20% off and free shipping worldwide. Thank you, dudes.
Yeah, I'm
And
thinking of Manscaped for keeping our balls trimmed, which we use the product and we're actually very happy
my
with
balls
it.
are,
So.
I mean, I've really stepped up the ball game, I'll be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to, I don't want to pretend. Look, I was taking care of my balls before. Do you have any, like, fucked up, I don't want to go, I've probably talked about it on the podcast before, but, like, one time in the quest of cleaning the ball region, I was tricked into using Nair.
Well, that's a great story. Mine sounds scary, but it doesn't go. It doesn't have any sort of. There's no like
Doesn't delve into
cringy twist.
pain and
Doesn't delve into
awful.
pain. It could have very easily. I don't know. Like, do you want to share your Nair story?
Oh yeah, so I was like, I was a young, fresh age, a ripe age of 20, and I have a very close friend who, you know, they like shave their whole body pretty much.
Oh, and there's someone who can do it. And
Yeah, you know, super in shape, was just like shaving the whole body all the time, and at one point I was just kind of like, man, I had nicked my taint at one point with an old set of trimmers. You know, they were not meant for that area. They were like an old set of wall head trimmers. Anyway, I'd nicked my taint, and I was complaining about nicking my taint, and this buddy was like, "Oh no, the secret is Nair. It just you put it on, you wipe it off. It's fantastic." You know, and he was speaking so genuinely about it. I was like, "Oh fuck yeah, that's great, a great idea." No indication that this was bullshit. So like, you know, it was 1 a.m, and I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna try the Nair, and I do it, and naturally it burns. It's awful. It's
yeah,
an awful sensation, and
it feels like you're rubbing, like smells like you're rubbing cat piss on you or something.
it's not great.
It
And
was
then
a nasty ammonia smell.
I did the smart thing. I immediately jumped into a hot shower. The worst idea. So anyway, I called him at like 2 a.m, and I'm screaming at him. I'm like, "You motherfucker!" And just in the middle of it, he screams back, "I know!" and hangs up. And just, I guess he found out the hard way and wanted someone to suffer it too. Real piece of shit. We're not doing that to you. Just go get a lawnmower. Just
The best laid plans.
yeah. Although I did have ridiculously smooth balls, and you know, deadened senses for a while, so that was cool.
Yeah. Probably have what look like sunburned balls.
No, actually, I mean, you know, it was awful, and I'll never ever do it again. But it's the smoothest my balls have ever been.
Well, there's a plus.
Yeah.
So
You're all like, "Yeah, no, I'm not going to tell my story. Let's move on. You're an asshole."
well, do we want to save it for? Well,
We can save it. We'll save it for another time. Next episode.
It's so short that there's really not a lot to tell. It's more just a sort of. I mean, we'll get into it next time. It's very short. Unfortunately, it doesn't have anywhere near as good a punchline. It's kind of just like, eh.
You're not nearly as stupid as me, is what you're saying.
No. What
Fuck.
what I did was pretty dumb. But I dodged a. Let's put it this way: I dodged a bullet. Which is let's just say I had a rendezvous, an impromptu rendezvous. Let's just put it that way. And I was like, oh shit, my shit is like out of control. And I'm like looking around, and I'm like, I thought about like one of the like electric razors, and I'm like, no, because like I'm afraid of it like nicking my nuts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do I do? And I'm running out of time. And I find this unopened package. So I started looking around the house, and I find this unopened, like made for like just sort of like letter opening, like real tiny basic pair of elementary school scissors. Like just a
No.
little, really kind of like not very sharp one.
You
And I'm like,
scholastic to your balls.
yeah, I'm like out of time. So I'm very, very carefully, because again, out of control, right? I like, so
That's
just-
amazing. You're a Boy Scout.
Yeah, so
The
kind
little
of
purple handled ones. The
yes, it was a little purple handle.
holy
So
shit.
I MacGyvered my way into a cleaner groomed a rainforest. But
That's a great story. That's not bad at all. That's
I
that speaks
I
to your intelligence, your
came
determination.
came very, obviously I was very
Incredible.
very cautious, about it, like very like, like a surgeon, like when
That's amazing. Yeah, no, I would have been terrified. Put scissors down there. Look, I'm a steadied hand, individual, but mm-mm.
well, I mean, again, it helps when you've gone way too long.
If I'm if
Um
I'm ever if I'm ever like bleeding out and somebody needs to grab the artery, I'm gonna trust you. You're the guy. Get in there and get it.
Well,
Fucking
I
surgeon.
spent many years first aid certified and CPR certified. Not that CPR would help you in that case, but yes, I was first aid certified. But
It'll
I
help me
mean,
breathe from the shock of how good you are at it.
if you cut your balls, I'd just kind of just be like, just call 911. I'm not dealing with it.
On your own, bro. You're not gonna go find my testicle?
I mean, just I don't know.
Best friends these days. You can't trust them with
Find your
anything.
testicle. I mean, you gotta be careful, man. Your testicle gets out, your dog probably eat it.
Oh yeah, no, he's definitely gonna eat it. But he'd bring me some. Did I ever tell you my dog does that? He'll like
Oh,
share.
does he bring you? Does he bring you stuff?
He shares food with me. So like if I there's certain snacks that are safe for him to eat. Like beef jerky that doesn't have anything on it, that kind of stuff. And so we'll share it like a little bit. And so sometimes he'll just bring me some of whatever he's snacking on, put it next to me and like wait for me to pick it up like I'm going to eat it to like, I don't know, even the game up. He's the greatest.
Interesting. It's still interesting though.
Yeah, it's weird as hell. I don't favorite dog, best dog ever, but unexpected. Hey, speaking of unexpected, by the way, your favorite
Oh my
of all
God,
time
like,
got pushed up.
well, it was so funny because
How much earlier is it coming out now? It's 7/29,
2 months.
right? So
It
2
bumped up
months.
2 months. Yeah. And so I was
Wow.
streaming all night last night, all night, because I'm doing a Xeno Legacy for all the Xeno games leading up to the release of
So
Xenoblade
you
3
were
and
reading a
stuff.
lot. You were doing a lot of reading.
A lot of watching. Well, I was doing a lot of reading in Gears, and then they have it's all voice acting in Saga. So I'm in the middle of the Saga games now, and they are fucking garbage. And
And yet you're still
and
excited.
I'm determined to get through this because I'm running out of time. September's coming, blah blah blah, and I'm like we're gonna get through this. So, like I am going through. I'm gonna finish. I was Xeno Saga 2, which is like everyone's least favorite. It's the worst. There's many reasons for that, but so I'm like I'm going to finish this fucking game tonight. Because I'm getting to the end, and I'm like gonna do it. So 6 in the morning, my time, I beat the game. The credits are finally done rolling. And some
Jesus.
people are like, hey, because this is what Nintendo does. Nintendo updates every day at 6 a.m. Whatever news story for the day is. Because usually it's nothing big. It's like something minor. But 6 a.m. rolled around and Nintendo had a huge update today for Xenoblade 3. And people right after the credits finish are like, oh my God, there's new info on Xenoblade 3, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, mods, are we banning people? Because that's a modder ban kind of thing. Come in my chat, say start a bunch of bullshit rumors or whatever, and then I'll just be like, oh no, it's real. Oh no, it's real. And I'm like, all right, no one say shit about this. So I was able to I was there to live react to the trailer within 5 minutes of it going live.
Amazing.
So that was actually pretty cool.
Your insomnia worked out for you for once.
Yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, the big problem was that not a problem, but it wasn't on their YouTube channel immediately. First, it was a video embedded in their Twitter.
In Twitter, yeah.
That's
the thing I saw, right? Yeah.
So I was like, so the first thing I wanted to do is I just wanted to go to YouTube because I'm like, let me just see this without knowing anything. But it wasn't there. I'm like, what the fuck? So I go to the Twitter, and in the tweet, they literally say the release date. So it's like, well, I don't get that surprise at the end of the trailer because they put it in the tweet.
No edging.
Yeah, no edging.
They just whip it out.
So yeah, that kind of how that went down. But then it's like, okay, I found the YouTube link right after that. It went up immediately, and then I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. So I was able to react to that. So yeah, I mean, it's gonna be very confusing to talk about, I guess, stuff with you.
Yeah,
I
because
don't know if you I
nope.
don't know if you watched the trailer
I did.
at all.
I watched the trailer, but a lot of it's out of. There's no context for a person who.
Right, but there's no context even for people who've beaten 1 and 2 either,
So
and
it's just all around confusing.
a little bit like
Okay.
there's stuff we can kind of glean, but I think they're doing this on purpose. I think it's very intentional to sort of like not know everything that's going on. Like they don't want to be like they don't want to like because you know how there's like the tendency to just like oh show this character and show this thing then show
Yeah.
this thing like you know tease a you know something that's going to be fan servicey. So they're actually not doing that, which I appreciate actually. I appreciate it being just kind of like there's shit going on in this game and I don't really know exactly what it all boils down to. And I like that. That's cool, personally. Um, but yeah, the real question, and it's another question that kind of like got on everyone's mind is like, you know, you don't often hear about games getting bumped up. It happens, but you don't
But
often
not by
hear about
2 months. That's pretty big. 2 months is
Yeah,
a
well,
pretty a hefty chunk of time to bump up.
yeah, and my personal belief, and I think I don't know if I've said it on this podcast or elsewhere, but like the game's done. It's been done. A week after it was revealed in February, they got official ratings in America, Australia, Korea, Japan.
It's been done that long.
Yeah, it's done. It's been done.
Why did they hold
So
it for so long?
that's a really good question. Some people were saying it was possibly for optimization purposes, like they wanted to see if they could get the frame rate a little more stable. Um,
Okay.
which makes sense. Maybe they're already done with that. Maybe they're like, well, we got it stable as it's going to be because it's a fucking Switch.
Do you think it has anything to do with Switch uses steady state? And so was there? Well, I don't know if if steady state drives were a part of the chip shortage. Because the chip shortage and the capacitor shortage was caused by a water shortage in Taiwan.
Right,
It wasn't
right.
actually caused by COVID. So
Well, interestingly, on kind of on that note about physical media, they're doing a special edition. But here's the weird thing: it's only going to be sold on their online store only, not going to retailers. And
huh.
that's weird. That's weird part number one. And weird part number two is that Japan and Europe have the exact same, down to the box being the same, special edition. Like you in the past, every Japan, America, and Europe have all had different looking special editions.
Maybe
But
that's a
now
side effect of the internet is like you don't need to target market anymore.
that's true. You know, some people are wondering, like, oh, maybe this rush delay thing means they couldn't, you know, secure it for retail. So, no.
Mm,
Um,
well, I
I-
mean, how many
maybe, but I mean, there's really nothing to go off on that.
how many
Uh,
people are importing the Japanese version anyway, you know? Like maybe they just figure like enough people like the Japanese art cuz Japanese box art tends to
yeah,
be
that's true. Well, the interesting thing is that I should have done it before the episode. It's behind me. It's buried in that stack where it's like Xenoblade 2, Xenoblade 1, Japanese Xenoblade 1, Astral Chain Japanese limited edition, 3 Link's Awakening limited editions. Um,
goddamn.
I don't want to dig it out, but like the coloring and the stylization of the box is very similar to the North American Xenoblade 2 box art and box style, I guess, if you will. Um, so, which is interesting. I mean, it's good on the one hand where it's like, okay, 2 and 3 are going to have a very similar special edition looking box. 1 is completely random. Like it's just this very minimalistic red box with an outline of the sword on it. So it's kind of like why wasn't really feel like really it's kind of a bummer that 1 wasn't in the same style as the special edition of 2 and now 3 on for I guess whatever
Well,
consistency
what all do
purposes.
you get for with the special edition?
Not much actually. It
It
seems
seems
to
like special editions have sort of I don't know, fallen
yeah, I
off.
mean,
Yeah.
because it used to be just sort of like a way to guarantee like and get a little extra money out of people. It's just a steel book and an art book.
Mm.
Um, or sorry, steel case and an art book. That's it. No music stuff, which I find the most disappointing part of it. Because like even
Well, you love
like
the soundtracks.
yeah
That's
yeah
like your
yeah.
favorite part of the
So
game, isn't it?
yeah, damn near. And they on the Japanese website, which had way more like artwork and way more information and media, they actually uploaded one of the tracks from the game, so you can listen to that like uninterrupted right now, which is
Cool.
great. It's a flute and harp piece.
The 1-2 punch of the flute and harp gets me every time.
Oh, it's really good. So I'm super all pumped about that. But yeah, so this begs the question of like, what's going on with the rest of the release schedule, and did this bump another game out? Because remember, Splatoon 3 was supposed to be summer this year, and it could still be summer. August and September is still summer technically. And I said this elsewhere where I'm like, I think maybe Nintendo got a bright idea and decided that Splatoon 3 could benefit from a beta, like an online test. And
yeah,
because Nintendo Switch Sports did that. And I feel like Nintendo maybe is like, I'm not saying that like Splatoon had issues with its online. It didn't. But it's never a bad idea to throw a network beta test out for an online game. It's never a bad idea. Like nothing bad can come of that.
that, and I think they're probably expecting Splatoon 3 to be relatively popular, right?
Yes, yeah, because Splatoon 2 sold a ton.
So ending summer with that, and then what's their big fall title this year?
Pokemon.
Yeah, so
They have a big giant Pokemon game.
why does end of summer seem like the time for shooters?
It kind of just
Like fall always has the big what they want to sell for Christmas type vibe. But like
Yeah.
end of summer, September seems to be like a really big time for shooters specifically.
yeah.
Isn't that weird?
I feel like it used to be fall titles, and like they sort of like crept up to the back end of summer. If that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, well, Call of Duty used to be like a fall thing, but as they became more regularly released,
Yeah, they started to like push up into September, October.
there's got to be some like I don't know psychological thing maybe to that. End of summer blockbuster type thing.
Someone's calculated it. I guarantee you. But yeah, to me, I look at this and go, I think Nintendo probably just thought, Splatoon. I don't think Splatoon 3 is in any trouble development wise, but they probably went, let's do a network beta test, and if anything comes up that we didn't foresee, yeah, we'll give ourselves a little wiggle room. To me, that just seems like what they're doing. Like in May or June, they may announce like an online network test for Splatoon 3, and they're not expecting to find issues, but if something does come up, they can give themselves like a month or two to like correct it. Like, oh, like this is super imbalanced. There's some weird little bug with the matchmaking, that you don't see coming, right?
It would be the first time ever that a shooter or multiplayer game has come out having been relatively thoroughly tested. Is that what you're saying?
Well,
Oh, matchmaking problems? They're going to solve that before it comes out? Bullshit. No one does that. Like that. That's crazy.
Either way, though, to me, it's kind of like, well, okay, maybe the game Splatoon could have still released in July if they wanted, and they're just giving themselves this sort of like, okay, well, let's see if something doesn't work or is too imbalanced, and let's do a beta test, and then we'll take the data from the beta test, and if everything looks good, great, whatever, we'll still come out August, September. If anything needs a final tweak, great. We gave ourselves an extra month or two to do that final tweak. There's two other games that I think could possibly be affecting this bump up. One is Advance Wars, which is sort of like in a reverse. Well, I think they were maybe thinking, okay, maybe we'll do it in July, and then they're kind of looking at the way things are going and going like, this conflict may not be over by July.
Probably not.
So they may be going like, maybe July is still too soon for Advance Wars to release. We need to like, now we really don't have anything for the month. And they're like, well, Xenoblade 3 is done. And like, it's like, okay, let's move that up. Maybe we'll push Advance Wars further back into the fall, like September or something. And then the other one is Bayo 3. Maybe Bayo 3 kind of needs, maybe Bayo 3 was planned for summer and they're like, needs a little more polishing because that game really will be dependent on frame rate, right? So maybe that game needed to be bumped back to September or October, right?
I wonder how much of it has to do with audience overlap. You know, it used to
Mm,
be that whole idea of like audiences don't overlap that much. You know, the people who play entirely multiplayer versus the people who play single player.
hmm
You know, the JRPG crowd doesn't really, wander into the COD crowd, like that kind of thing. But I
Yeah.
don't think that's that true anymore. I think
Well,
games have
the
gotten big enough.
audience is the audience has grown so much for
Yeah.
gaming that it's like there's always people who are curio, and I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of people who are going to be curious because like what JRPG fans are very loud. So
No.
but they're right now they're all loud and excited and happy. So I could honestly see like a lot of people who are like, maybe I'll look over here, maybe this will be, I could definitely see some people who are probably previously kind of like to the whole thing going like, oh, I don't know, let me look at this trailer. Everyone's talking about it on my timeline or actually looks kind of fun. Maybe I'll check it out.
Well,
Um,
in an odd turn, Elden Ring has been such a big splash all over social media and
yeah.
stuff that like it might actually open the door to more people being curious about like RPGs or especially JRPGs in general.
Yeah, yeah, and while it won't obviously play anything like Elden Ring battle
No.
system wise, the
Or
idea that
look
you
anything like or won't have
well,
the
here's
same
the thing,
tone.
it's going to be a large scale environment. It's going to have a lot of giant maps, a lot of exploration, a lot of big beasts and stuff. So it I think something like Xenoblade 3 has a better chance of maybe getting some curious eyes wandering to it versus say a Shin Megami Tensei, or a Persona, which is very much a traditional turn-based battle system, like other
Hmm.
RPGs
Yeah.
or things that are more like very very linear, right? Where this is going to be like, hey, this world looks kind of cool. This actually looks kind of nice, big open. Like I like this, I that happened with Xenoblade 1 where people were just kind of curious, where like they just sort of heard about, oh yeah, there's this new RPG. It's like fucking giant, it's massive, like it's incredible, like these huge vistas. We're like, oh, let me check it, I'll check it out, and then it kind of just word of mouthed its way into success. God knows Nintendo originally wasn't doing anything to promote it
Oof.
in the West. So yeah, I don't know. I actually think there is going to be some good potential crossover here where it's like, okay, this is not a Muso game. This is not a tactical RPG. This is not a turn-based RPG. This is a big ass like open environment RPG, and then you get this weird and honestly, I think there's appeal with I don't know if you saw the Dragon Ball Fusion
Yeah.
shit that the characters do. I think there's gonna be appeal like, oh yeah, you morph into a big monster and you pummel the shit out of the other ones. I'm like, you know what? This is actually probably gonna have some sort of more broad appeal. I honestly think. Um,
I
like,
wonder I often wonder because anime is also just way more popular now than it was
sure, yeah.
even 10 years ago, say. Like even 10 years ago, anime wasn't nearly as popular as it is now. And maybe part of that is that it's all over Netflix, it's all over
It's on all the streaming services. I think even I want to say there's even possibly some anime on Disney Plus, but I'm
I
not.
mean, it's totally possible. So I wonder if like that's I remember being God damn it, it makes me sound so old. I remember being a kid and one of the barriers to JRPGs was the art style.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, well, kind
um
of is. Let's not mince words here. Uh,
it is, but it's way more anime art style is way more popular now than it
it's
ever
more
used to be.
accepted too.
Yeah.
There's less discerning. Like I think it's less foreign now because it's been around for so long and there's been so many series at this point and there's been so many fandoms at this point that people who don't even like anime have seen what anime looks like now.
Yeah. At
It's
least
not like
somewhat, yeah.
in the 90s where there was this weird obscure like back corner of a blockbuster that had some weird ass looking cartoons.
Where you had to meet some
um
weird guy named Jason who had a box, and some of it was Trigun, some of it was like Blue Seed. And it was really just like it was up to you to get lucky, get something good or scarring.
yes,
You
good or
don't
scarring, get some Wicked
really,
City.
you don't know what you're gonna get. It's a grab bag of bullshit.
I mean, it still is, but it's
Yeah,
but it's like, yeah, I think
you
yeah,
know
in
who I'm
general,
talking about. It was always some dude who was like way too old to be hanging out with these kids and like was wearing like the anime titties button ups and would like be like, "Oh yeah, here's my box of anime. You want to borrow one?"
do you remember the movie store at the mall? I definitely had some encounters
Yes.
with some like older anime fans.
Yes.
Um, and they definitely fit the type.
My God. I remember after we got Trigun, my parents, like one Christmas, got me and my brother just a ton of those anime button ups for anime that like we had never even seen. They
Never
just
even
like
seen. Yeah.
got a bunch of them. They were all like extra large because when you're a kid, your parents buy you again clothes 2 sizes up. Um, and I just remember like never. I wore them one. I wore one time, having no idea what the anime on it was. Just because my mom was getting upset that we weren't wearing any of our Christmas clothes. I was like, but I don't know what this is. It wasn't even that I felt dumb wearing it. I just didn't know what it was. So it was like, why would I wear something like I can't be a fan of this. I don't know what it is.
Mm.
Was my argument.
Fair enough, I guess. And some people are just happy to have anything.
Yeah, no,
Um,
that totally true. It was in hindsight, had I been more into anime, that would have been like a really kick-ass Christmas gift. I feel like that's going to be one of the hardest things about being a parent, if I'm ever one, is like the heartbreak of getting just the mediocre response to a gift from your kids. In hindsight, I'm like, God, I was a little psychopath. I should have just been like amped up every fucking thing I get. But you get like you can only be so amped about the 10th Hard Rock Cafe shirt that your aunt gives you. You can't get that fucking amped. Now,
I mean, and that
now I'm
even
like, yes, give me
continues.
clothes.
That even continues to this day. Hold on, let me see if I still have these. Um, this is sad because this is recent, like within the last couple years. Hell, that? Oh,
Your fourth surfboard keychain from your aunt going to like Hawaii. That's your
no, I
Christmas.
wish.
That's your Christmas
No,
gift. They
no,
give you
no, no. Here, two of them. I had built it up even. There was $100 on these.
oh, that hurts. That hurts. What do you even do with that anymore? You can't. It's
There's like
done.
50 bucks on each of them.
Dude, for the people that aren't watching the video, he just held up Fry's Electronics gift cards.
Two
And
Fry's Electronics gift cards.
Fry's is super fucking gone. Like, well, back in the day, Fry's was like the Disneyland of building your own computer or
Yeah,
computers in general.
yeah, exactly. It was Disneyland for computer stuff.
I built both my first and my second PC from going to Fry's, grabbing a cart, and just grabbing all the stuff I needed off the shelves,
Mhm.
and like, then going and like they had this big board. For anyone who cares, this big board of like the CPUs and the RAM that perform best with it.
Yeah,
Was
I
on,
remember that. It
and
almost had like a almost Matrixy grunge feel to it.
yeah, and like before there was ever like a Geek Squad or any like Fry's is where all the nerds worked. Like you could go there and nerd out talking to an employee who actually like could give you real feedback about overclocking years before overclocking was a thing that everybody
Mhm.
talked about. Balancing GPUs to budget, shit like that. You could really nerd out on building a PC there. I went with Justin, and like we spent like 3 hours. It was me, Justin, and Dan were there for like 3 hours one afternoon, just grabbing and pricing out everything for my first PC, which I think I still have. I think it's in like my old bedroom at my parents. If I have that still, I'll take a picture of it so you can see what that looks like. But first thing I ever built. It's all built on budget parts. It's pretty good though. It's good.
That was my first PC too. So,
Goodbye, Fries.
but yeah. Overall though, just generally speaking, again, back to the whole thing is just. I think there is more appeal. More the people are less foreign to this stuff, especially if you're watching the Nintendo Directs. Like you're used to seeing some anime games show
Yeah.
up some point. So yeah, we'll see. There's on the one hand, again, things have never been more accepting for this genre and art style than before. On the other hand, the Switch has been out for some time now, so there is a sort of this may or may not sell super great because it's not like it's not one of the few must-have exclusive games on the system anymore. System's been around for years, a lot of games on it, a lot of exclusives.
And it's not going to
People,
drive system sales. Like no one's going to
right,
buy a Switch at
right,
this point for
exactly. Although on the other hand, it's like, what is it? It doesn't need to drive system sales because
No,
there's 100
yeah.
million Switches out there. The user base is stacked. So, yeah, well, I don't know. It'll be. I'm gonna be curious to see how it does. I mean, obviously, I'm gonna be getting it myself, but it's like it'll be interesting to see how it sort of resonates beyond the core fandom.
I don't know if I'm becoming a more positive person, but like I find myself just in general rooting for games to do well. Just games in general. Like
Yeah, well, it's good when especially if it's not like the atypical sports and shooters, because it's like, oh, you kind of want to just want to see something like it's
yeah,
like when Fire Emblem sells like 3 million copies. That's fucking great. You know why? Because that means there's an audience for tactical RPGs.
Yeah.
Like there's that Nvidia leak. Tactics Ogre got reborn, got trademarked by Square. So it's like, okay, I guess they are remastering Final Fantasy Tactics and Tactics Ogre. That's fucking awesome.
yeah. No, I don't know. Like maybe this is a weird thing because we both have some pretty harsh opinions, but I found as I get older, like my opinions are softened by experience to where like every time I have a hardline opinion where I'm like, no, whatever, fuck so and so thing. Later on, I'm like, I shouldn't have said that. I don't know. Somebody worked hard on that. And
Perhaps I judged you too harshly.
yeah, I feel like a bully where I'm just like, what do I don't have to be such a dick about that. And then, it leads to less entertaining commentary, I guess.
Yeah. So that's always like a good thing, to really see something, kind of get promoted. There's something I know we didn't talk about beforehand, but Sega announced yesterday that their super mega game project that they're putting all their developers from all divisions onto, apparently it was like Bloomberg or some other like more mainstream non-gaming press broke it, where they were, or maybe it was Deadline or something, where they're like, Sega's going into big budget reboots of Crazy Taxi and Jet Set Radio for their Sega mega game project. And I'm like, why? and keep in mind that Sega was talking about mobile, console, and NFTs. Yes, NFTs. So get ready.
Everyone's getting into that shit.
So get ready for some NFT graffiti and Jet Set Radio, and this was kind of lost in the shuffle because all the Nintendo news today. But like,
big budget.
Why does Sega always do the dumbest things? Like, why do they always make the dumbest decisions? Because like, it's not that I don't want crazy, you don't want a big budget Crazy Taxi or Jet Set Radio. Crazy Taxi, especially, and Jet Set Radio to an extent, these are pick up and play arcade experiences. Crazy Taxi is not a game that you want to sit there and grind, for like stickers on the back of your taxi cab.
All that budget's going to the music. All that budget's going to go to the songs that they put in Crazy
Well,
Taxi,
and that's
right?
the other thing. It's like, if you don't get Offspring, do you really have Crazy Taxi?
Does
the
it
answer is
count?
no. Does it count? Right. So, but Crazy Taxi is not a game about grinding anything. Like, you do try to see how long you can keep your score up. Like, that's the arcade, okay, how long can I keep my fares going, by getting people to their destination, and sort of like memorizing a loop around the city. But it's like, this is not a game that you want anything more than what it is, if you get what I'm saying. Like, you don't want a story mode. You don't want cutscenes. You don't want
give me a neo-noir Crazy Taxi storyline.
You don't want a battle pass for this. Like, you want Crazy Box, which is all those cool like mini games and stuff kind of built around it, and around little mini challenges. You want that. By the way, Crazy Taxi 3 had the greatest. It was fucking incredible. But like people are like, yeah, I want Crazy Taxi. Like, I can't see it because people are like, Crazy Taxi is great. Why don't you want this? I'm like, sit there and fucking think about it. think about sitting through like a 10-minute cutscene about like Gus, debating about, the economy or the fares or whatever.
The
Or
city
like,
never
oh,
sleeps.
the city never sleeps. Like, like, oh, the taxi, the crazy taxi cab code is going to go out of business. We're going to have to do it. Like, and like having them talk, like, no, like Crazy Taxi is a game like you literally hit start as fast as you can and go ahead and pick a driver. And it is yeah down the fucking street. You don't want you don't want anything kind of getting in the way of that quick pick up and play arcade experience. And that does
moving in on our turf.
and you just don't need a big budget. You don't need to like be dumping all your resources in that. In the same way for Jet Set Radio, where it's like there's definitely room for like cutscenes and story a little bit there for Jet Set, but it's like it's a game that more or less is sort of combining a lot of different extreme sports stuff. Like there's a little bit of Tony Hawk, there's a little bit of some rhythm game aspects with the way the graffiti stuff works, and sort of like running away from the police aspect and stuff. It is not a game where I sit there and like I want a GTA style cinematic experience with my Jet Set Radio. No, like all the IPs that Sega has. And they've been thankfully they've been cool enough to farm a lot of them out, but it's like all your IPs and all your things and all your projects, and it's like dip back into the Dreamcast well for the really pick up and play arcade experiences, and I don't know, like maybe I don't know if this is coming off like weird old man yells at cloud to you, but it's just kind of like this is not the game that I would sit there and dump $100 million into Crazy Taxi or Jet Set Radio. Crazy Taxi is like, it's a small to mid-budget game. Just get the music and just make sure you nail the driving mechanics. You don't want anything else.
What if they're it's gonna be like an arcade classics pack, and it's all HD remakes?
Well, they've done that. They've done that already. They've already had their Dreamcast collection on the HD consoles.
Then I don't know what they're doing.
And it was Crazy Taxi, it was Jet Set Radio, Sega Bass Fishing, and Space Channel 5, and Sonic Adventure 1. Those are like the 5 games. They've actually done it like twice at least now, where every time they do
they're not necessarily known for their good decisions, though.
No, I know. It just, man, it kind of like it drives me nuts because it's like I want to see Crazy Taxi and Jet Set come back? Sure, of course I do.
Yeah,
of course. I don't want Sega to be spending $100 million into these projects because like Jet Set was it's a really good game. It never fucking sold that well on anything anywhere ever.
No, but there's just more of a market today.
But yeah, but the thing that's really kind of in the back of my mind too, with Crazy Taxi, it's more like it's a pick up and play arcade experience. Do not fucking like bog this shit down with season passes and fucking cutscenes and campaign mode shit. And then with Jet Set Radio, it's like Sega's talked about their big game initiative includes NFTs, and I'm like, oh god, the graffiti in the Jet Set Radio is going to be sacrificed to the tech bro gods, isn't it?
You don't have to worry about NFTs being around for that much longer.
Right, I know they're crashing, which good. But fuck, dude, like I just this is where Sega wants to spend its money. Oh, and by the way, I think in the Bloomberg or whatever press outlet put this forward, they're talking about doing like a lot like free to play stuff as well. Which Crazy Taxi could kind of work for that if it was just a very simple pick up and play arcade experience. But you know what should be free to
play?
Free to play should be Virtua Fighter. Virtua Fighter 5 did the free to play for 2 months, and then it had $10 like skins, like retro skins you could buy, and apparently Sega made bank off that, even though it was like an older game re-release. And I'm like, yes, that's what you should do.
I've seen that horrendous debate. Fighter games is free to play.
Virtua Fighter proved there's a hugely successful model for it. Just here's the game, here's all the characters. It's a basic arcade thing. If you want some extra, extra accoutrements or whatever, like $10 for a bunch of Yakuza skins for characters, or $10 for like old, like, original polygon models. Like, cool, fine. But like it's so, I would be willing to spend $10 just for a costume pack, as long as I knew it had nothing to the effect of the roster of the core game, and it didn't. And I'm like, this is where you should go. VF6 should exist, and it should be free to play, and all the characters and all the stages should be free to play, and then just put a bunch of microtransaction hats, hats and costumes and bullshit on the store. Make it completely easily ignorable, but like, I'll buy it anyways if they're cool enough, and it's gonna make money. Because Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown did. So
I mean, they could do that for a lot of multiplayer games, really.
Yeah, and I actually do think VF is part of this initiative that wasn't in the article. But yeah, when hearing about Crazy Taxi and Jet Set being like, I'm like, fucking why? Bring back Panzer Dragoon Saga, you fucking cowards. Like, make a remake of that and like, I don't even need a Skies of Arcadia remake or a part 2. Just give me a simple remaster available on PC and console of modern day. Like, just re-release Skies of Arcadia, you fucking cucks.
I would like a Skies of Arcadia remaster or something of that for damn sure.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not even asking for a big budget remake or a sequel. Just give me the old one. Fuck it, just put it out.
Yeah. Although I would like a remake of it so that it is an action RPG.
It's just,
I prefer them.
Tangent aside, Sega, why do you always make the dumbest fucking possible decisions?
Speaking of maybe possible dumb decisions, did you see Amy Hennig is jumping again into the Star Wars?
Oh, really?
Did you see that news?
Even at wait, not with EA.
I don't know if it's with EA, but I saw. Let me.
I thought she works for Sony, not Sony.
Yeah, she's making a new Star Wars game. It was announced.
Who is she working for now? I forget. Was it Skydance?
Skydance, yeah.
Okay,
Hennig.
yeah, Sky.
Yeah. So Visceral Games closed, and she's now trying again with Skydance.
Good luck.
Yeah, I'm wondering. Like, part of me, a tiny bit, feels like she's gonna have bad luck again, and I don't know why. I don't know anything about her, but I don't know why.
Star Wars games in general, since the Disney
buyout,
have been cursed. Battlefront was pretty good, but it was just an online only game and fizzled out very quickly. One of both of our great gaming purchase regrets. Battlefield 2 you could make a whole Netflix documentary about that. The launch of that game, all the canceled EA games, including Amy Hennig's original one, and even more recently Star Wars Eclipse. Basically, no one wants to work for David Kage, thank God. So the game is like 7 years away now because they can't get anyone to make Star Wars Eclipse. And I'm like, the only thing that's sort of escaped unscathed was Fallen Order by Respawn, but even that was kind of a glitchy mess on release. But okay, whatever. A solid-ish game, with some rush to meet deadline glitches is one. That's forgivable. That's patchable, right? Like that's that's not outright cancellation. So I guess Star Wars Squadron. Okay, everyone forgot about. I forget about it too. There was a Star Wars Squadrons games. There was a VR game.
A lot of people loved it,
and apparently it's really good. But it's VR, so like VR kind of lives in its own little fucking bubble, and like. I almost feel bad because it feels like VR people, like, no one listens to them anymore. Like people just tune out VR stuff when they hear it. You're either really into VR or you ignore it completely. Like the way a lot of like us core gamers. Oh, there's a new game coming out. Cool. What's this? It's for mobile. I'm done. Don't care.
I don't care. I do think it's kind of interesting that as we get closer, right now would normally be kind of a hotbed of time for rumors of what's going to happen at E3. But E3's not happening.
Because we're getting really close to the point where everyone's about to announce stuff. So as you get close to that point, all the little below the surface rumors start bubbling up. And a lot of times, there is a lot of truth to like stuff where like you
hear some shit.
You get a lot of crap, and then filtered through it, all of a sudden, like there's a couple little nuggets there that were actual reveals. Like real leaks do kind of like exist within. The big one yesterday, which you almost wonder if Nintendo did what they did today to bury that news story. Their emulator for Game Boy Advance and Game Boy for the Switch got leaked, and a bunch of the work they were doing on it and all the games they were testing on, like all their like data logs.
I just found my old Taco Game Boy Advance the other day.
Yeah.
Like I just found that, and it was on the top of my mind. So I was
So yeah, like
holy shit.
yesterday, Game Boy Advance and then and Game Boy to a lesser extent, that got leaked. Like that's definitely been, that's not saying like, oh, they have a plan and they're going to announce it here and it's going to come out this and blah, blah, blah. We just know that Nerd, yes, Nintendo Europe Research and Development Nerd, who does all their emulation stuff, has been working with a Game Boy Advance emulator on the Switch. Now we know that's absolutely a thing. Now, R&D, doing R&D things is not a guarantee of existence or coming to market. But this is one of those things that's like, this is happening.
Oh, because it's easy money.
It's easy money. It's not. It's costing Nintendo nothing. It's gonna get people to buy their expansion pass. Like
it sort of leads into Dude Sauce on the podcast Discord. He made a comment about Xenoblade 3 basically being like the most poorly kept secret. And so like as a final thought, this would be prime time rumor mill time, and I guess now that Summer Games Fest is going to be the big announcing time. So like does that bump it to where it's like May and June are going to be the times where all the rumors start really bubbling up? Because Xenoblade 3 has been a rumor for
since August last year.
Yeah,
like, that's
forever.
When, like, real legit. But okay, so what happened was Jenna Coleman, a famous British actress who got really popular after Xenoblade 1 because she became like a mainstay on one of the Doctor Who seasons.
Mm-hmm.
She said, "Oh yeah, they're making another one," in an interview, and there's like, "Oh no, I'm supposed to say that." Oopsie, right? So she said that, and then a bunch of people, when that got leaked, came out and was like, "Well, yeah, it's happening." So people kind of came out and said like, "Yes, we've also heard the same thing." So all these insiders were like, "We definitely have heard about it. Here's what we know about it," which was little tiny little nuggets of story, and they were true. So actually, a bunch of people, there were people on the inside that knew about Xenoblade 3 and did actually know some details on it, but they were actually holding it back for whatever reason. They just didn't want to report on it or something. I don't know.
So is the rumor mill good though? Is the rumor Dude Sauce's question is rumor mill versus 6-year early trailer. Which one's better? I say rumor mill. I say rumor mill gets people more excited, whereas trailer can cause fatigue. You do a trailer too early, you get fatigue. Rumors, though, no one ever gets fucking bored of.
Yeah.
People
I think
rumor forever.
I think you're right, because when you don't know what something looks like visually, you come up with all kinds of scenarios in your head of what this project could be, what it'll look like, going off the whatever vague descriptions you get.
Patrons saying a disappointment.
Like a leaked trailer will be very quick. It's like a burst, like a firework. It'll be spread around and people will talk about it. But like when you kind of know what something is, so it's like the trailer's a leaked trailer's almost worse, because it's like when the thing does show up eventually, it's not exciting at all. Like you already know what it looks like. You already know what you're expecting to see.
And at least the leak of a trailer is exciting, but if it's a 6-year early, like he says, Square Enix, looking at you, Square Enix, like you do a 6-year early trailer, you're doing nothing but burn all enthusiasm really early for like a flash in the pan excitement.
Yeah, and
it'd be better to just leak a rumor of your game.
Well, here's the interesting thing about that. Because Square Enix, you don't know if they're learning or not, because they just had Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer show up at the 20th anniversary event for Kingdom Hearts.
Right.
And they didn't give any. They just said magic in the making. Not that's basically they're now in development. They didn't give a year. They don't have any idea when it's coming out. So this could be another years long wait before Kingdom Hearts 4 actually becomes real. And Final Fantasy 16 is kind of like got everyone on edge because it's like they showed it at a Sony State of Play, I want to say 2020, and then 2021 they never updated it, and they said, well, yeah, we'll update in the spring. We're sorry we didn't. And the producer is kind of like, I don't want to show this game until it's out, or like almost ready to be released. So you can kind of feel how Square was like, we want to promote it. Sony wants us to have stuff. Sony wants to talk about it. We want to talk about it. We want to like get hype going. And the producer of the project is kind of like, I don't want to fucking show this game and have it be years from release. Like, I kind of feel like Yoshi P is probably a little bit at odds with marketing, where probably a lot of Square Enix would love to keep talking about Final Fantasy 16 and keep showing 16, and he's kind of sitting there probably going like, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to show this so far in advance. I mean, I want people to see it, get excited, and then go out and be able to buy it.
Right.
Is his kind of mindset. He's like, and I kind of appreciate that because that's very different. Because, and then like there are other games like we don't know what the status of 7-2 is. Nomura has teased that he wants to show it at some point this year. He wants to show 7-2
Summer Games Fest.
Maybe, or it's either that or Game Awards. So he wants to do that, and they did announce, technically just a logo. They did announce Dragon Quest 12. In a sense like that, I almost feel it's even that can be a little much sometimes too. But I think it's almost better to say we're making this game. And going back to Xenoblade, it was kind of like, for me, it's like, yes, Monolith's going to make a Xenoblade. Why wouldn't they fucking make a Xenoblade 3? Right. It felt like a very did you know Nintendo's going to make a new Mario game? No fucking shit. It's like, it's not news.
Mario Sunshine 2 when?
Right. Well, it's like when people, it turned out to be DLC, but people were saying like Mario Kart 9 is in development. I'm like, duh. Like, why the fuck wouldn't it be in development? But then we got that DLC pack, so that was kind of a weird swerve from the rumor milling there. But yeah,
those games are always great and they're always fun. It's sort of like Mario Party, Mario Kart, that whole Mario Tennis. But is anyone ever like edge of their seat, like rock hard for that shit?
Someone definitely is. But to me, it's kind of like, cool Mario Kart. That's awesome. It's kind of
no negative, cool. No shade at all. I understand. Like generally, I assume most people just love those games. They're just
most
good
people
times.
do. But I think
it's never the game I'm like, oh fuck yeah, if I don't get it right, put it in my veins.
It's not the game. Like, do you remember the Twilight Princess reveal at the very end of their press conference in 2004?
Yeah.
It's like Mario Kart's not that game.
Yeah.
You don't come out and like drop the mic on a brand new Mario Kart. You know what I mean? Like this is not your mic drop moment where it's like Mario Kart 9.
I sort of would love that.
Can you believe we're doing that? I'm like, yes, I can believe you're doing that. It's like it's your best-selling product. Why wouldn't you make another one?
Genuinely would love them to do that one time.
They did, kind of.
Yeah.
And it was E3 2003, and it was a fucking disastrous year for Nintendo. It's one of their most infamous. It was a press conference that went so fucking poorly that, combined with the lethargic GameCube sales at the time, and that press conference went so badly and so weakly, they hired Reggie and introduced him the next year because they knew they had a fucking PR, they had an image crisis where it's like, over here you have Sony, like, here's Metal Gear Solid 3, holy shit. Here's Grand Theft Auto.
Personable.
Right, like, here's Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, holy shit. And Xbox is like, here's Halo 2, holy shit. Here's Splinter Cell 3, holy shit. And Nintendo's like, we got Mario Kart and Pac-Man Versus. Pac-Man Versus, guys. Yeah, you can play Pac-Man with your Game Boy on your TV. And everyone's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, which is, it's sad because like Double Dash is a great game, but it's like, when you sit there and like the fucking bombs that are being dropped by Sony and Microsoft in 2003 with your Halos and Splinter Cells and Metal Gear Solid 3 and San Andreas, and then Nintendo's sitting over here like, you can play Pac-Man with your buddies with it. If you have 4 Game Boys and 4 Game Boy to GameCube link cables and 1 GameCube and 1 TV, you guys can play a weird version of Pac-Man where people can only see like a little bubble around them as they chase Pac-Man through a maze. It's like that fucking no one cares. Like, I'm sorry. Like, and Miyamoto was like
for them.
It really was. And like Miyamoto was like, I love Pac-Man so much. I'm so happy to get to make a Pac-Man game. And I'm like, bro, Geppetto. Okay. Like,
the amount of eating balls jokes that spawned from that.
it was just, it just kind of, it was this weird feeling of like Nintendo just kind of, like, they didn't give up, but it was just kind of felt like, not give up. They were so out of touch with what people were looking for and expecting out of the GameCube at that point, because like the competition was getting really heated, like it was the middle of the console's lives, so it was kind of like, okay, well, what's Nintendo's big fucking swerve now? What's their big gorilla, their big dick swing, to counter all these other Sony and Microsoft games? Mario Kart Double Dash, a half-assed Star Fox game, with Assault. I said it. Assault. Star Fox Assault kind of sucks. It's a great first level and not much else. Yeah.
That's somebody's favorite game.
And it was also famously the year where, and this guy didn't get to speak much at Nintendo press conferences again, where he said the quote, and which later was shortened in press, was like, Mario will never do anything as vile, disgusting, or blatantly stupid as running over hookers in a car. Like, really didn't get to read the room on that one, did you, buddy?
Yeah, because everyone loves running over hookers in a car. Kidding?
Well, it's like you're
true.
you're missing the fucking point there, buddy, as to why GTA was popular. And he said this in the height of its explosion, between like Vice City and San Andreas, and it's like, you just don't fucking get it, do you? Like,
yeah.
It's not about this one thing you can do. It's about the open-ended experience. It's about the freedom. It's about the design. It's a, you don't like, fuck. I mean,
well,
it was
fair,
it was a rough time for Nintendo of America. Let's just say that. That's why they had to get Reggie. They had to hire Reggie on after that and basically become a PR juggernaut for them, because fuck, their image sucked.
I think something that's interesting about Nintendo, and we're at time, but I think something that's interesting about Nintendo is they've sort of never been on it. They've never been with the times. They do their own thing, and that's sort of cool.
But directly kind of like going after the competition that was exploding, like directly insulting it, and then like not really having anything to back. I'm sorry, like, I'm not saying that Pac-Man Versus is a piece of shit. I'm saying that like it's a fun diversion. It was a fucking pre-order bonus for Pac-Man World 2. That's what it ended up being.
Yeah.
That is not how you fucking define your E3 stage show. It doesn't matter that Miyamoto had a hand developing it. Like, as we've clearly seen with Star Fox Zero, like, the man, he loves to tinker, but like, he's a little out of touch with what people actually want from gaming nowadays.
Well, how old is he now?
Oh, he's like 60s or something.
I guess it's not that old.
And again, he is a genius. He's 100% a genius, and he works well in that sort of pick up and play unique idea. Here's a new idea. Here's something you can play around with. But he's from the 80s. Like, he's from that coin op, pick up and play. A game lasts about 5 minutes mentality. Like, yes, he directed Ocarina of Time, but like, he hated the fact that there was text on Ocarina of Time.
He consulted on the Crazy Taxi revival.
Yeah.
That's what he's been up to.
Maybe it's like, I don't want to disrespect the guy, but it's kind of like, he's not the man you want for a long form game that's going to last you, a campaign. He's not a guy for campaigns. Yeah. He's not your guy for campaigns. And the thing is, we live in an era now where people, they don't actually want to do anything but read. Like 13 Sentinels just came out for the Switch. Great game. You should check it out. It's a visual novel pretty much for the most part. So
yeah,
that's a thing now, going all the way back to the beginning, where it's just like, the audience has really opened up for stuff on gaming. So it's like
I mean,
there are
good stories are never going to be a bad thing. If
yeah.
you've got an interesting story, it will never hurt you. I do think that it's only recently that stories matter in games.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I would agree.
you know, but now I would argue that like a good story can sell a game. An interesting story easily sells the game.
And honestly, I think that might even happen a bit for Xenoblade 3, honestly, where people when they hear like from the direct, they're like, "Oh, it combines the story of 1 and 2." Now they're intrigued because now they know there's a sort of resonance to having played this games now.
Right,
It's not
yeah.
kind of like, oh, like here's just this random game. It's got weird stuff in it, and everything's just sort of like it lives in something. Like now you get the like, even if you haven't followed anything, you know that this is an epic saga, saga of like now it's like oh shit, they connect. There's a flow, and I think it happened with Nier. Um, with Automata, everyone's like, "Whoa, Nier!" And they're like, "Oh yeah, there was this really crappy game last year, so they remade it." And so you have Nier Replicant, so everyone is like and curious now about like now they're more invested because they know there's. I mean, we know a friend, Noe, who was like he bought Replicant and Automata because he knew I liked it, but then he's like, oh, they connect. They're actually like it's it's a cool story,
Yeah.
and it spans multiple games. Oh, that actually intrigued him to buy the game. Like the games being connected,
And the amount of
know.
YouTube content explaining this shit is just going to go through the roof.
Mm-hmm.
So
So
YouTube benefits too.
so yeah, like sometimes people will purchase shit just on word of mouth if the story's good.
Yeah.
Really. Now I'm intrigued. So that's interesting and that's cool actually. I didn't for a long time in my life I pretty much wrote stories and gamings out of my mind. I was like stories and games will never be good. Nick. It's just not going to happen. And I was very much one of those like yeah, they're just never gonna be that good. And then I'm like, no, my mind changed. It slowly but surely changed.
I
Nier
mean,
did it.
less than even 5 years ago, we had an entire episode about how stories in games don't matter.
Yeah.
But
But they can.
Oh, hell yeah, they can. Yeah.
And it's like, and not just visual novels, but visual novels can be amazing too with stuff like 13 Sentinels. And then there are games that are action like RPGs like Nier Automata, where it's like you can have an interesting, intriguing story, and it can also be a game as well. Like
yeah, you can
it can
be
be
there
done.
for both or one or the other.
Yeah.
Yeah. On that note, we've got some patrons to thank. But let us know on Twitter. Like, do you prefer early trailers or do you prefer rumor mill? Because I think most people would probably, if they're honest with themselves, prefer rumors. I think they're a little more exciting. I think they tease a little bit more. They get you a little more engaged.
Do you want rumors or do you want media leaks?
Oh, well, okay, fair.
I guess that's one way to put it. I guess. Well, it could be images, yeah, or trailer, whatever. But yeah, the point is, I'd rather just hear about something via text rather than see footage of something that's not supposed to be seen.
Yeah, those forum rumors. Ooh, the back in the days, you'd look for any details you can to chew on. Amazing.
Yeah.
Our patrons for this episode are The Arnett, Scroonami, Top 35, Hyper Viper 89, Ziggy Z, and Online Persona. Thank you, dudes, and we will catch you next time.
Later, dudes.